All right, so let's talk about electrochemical cells. So electrochemical cells, some are called Voltic or galvanic cells. Batteries are examples of these. And what they are is they're an apparatus or a place, a physical chambers separated that convert chemical energy into electrical work. Or vice versa, electrical work into chemical energy. And these electrochemical cells are made up of two separate half reactions separated. One is, there's two parts to these chambers. Let's just define what we're talking about first. So the first is called the anode. And the anode is the electrode where the oxidation half reaction happens. And then there's the cathode, where it's also an electrode, where the reduction half reaction happens. So it's two half reactions in separate wells connected by a salt bridge, and it allows a current to pass through. So there's lots of good pictures of this in your textbook and also in SmartWorks. You will also do some simulations in SmartWorks and in your lab with these electrochemical cells, Voltic or galvanic cells. But essentially what they all are is they're two half reactions that are physically separated. And then between, so you have some aqueous solutions in both of these. So I'm just going to set it up. So here is an example. Let's say we have solid zinc being oxidized to zinc 2+. I know it's being oxidized because the oxidation number is going from 0 to 2. So now let's say in this other one, I have copper 2+ being reduced to copper solid. These are aqueous. And I know it's being reduced because the oxidation number is going from +2 to 0. So the way these electrochemical cells are set up is that these are physically separated. There's no mixing between these two except for a certain path. So in the lab, what we would have is a filter paper kind of folded over. This is just a piece of paper, or it could be something called a salt bridge. And what this is it allows the current to be completed, but we call it a salt bridge. And then also in the oxidation part of the reaction, there is an electrode. The electrode in the oxidation half reaction is called the anode. And then there's also an electrode in the reduction half reaction that is called the cathode. So then the anode and the cathode, these are connected. This is usually called a voltmeter. And this voltmeter would give some reading here in a number of volts, which shows the current passing through. So it's separated by a salt bridge. The salt bridge just allows the current to pass through. But what happens is the electrons flow through here. So remember, electrons are negatively charged. The anode part of the reaction, this is the negative terminal. The cathode, this is the positive terminal, like we were talking about batteries. So if you think about which way the electrons are going to flow, the electrons are going to flow from the negative terminal to the positive terminal because they're negatively charged. So they are going to be attracted to this positive terminal. So we have now this continuous circuit for electrons to flow. This is what's being measured by the voltmeter. So this is just a really rough example of what's happening in an electrochemical cell. So when we have electrochemical cells, we have what's called Voltic cell notation. So Voltic cell notation tells us how to kind of write a shorthand of what's happening in this picture up here. So the rules for Voltic cell notation is that the oxidation half reaction is written on the left, the anode. The reduction half reaction is written on the right, that's the cathode. There's a phase boundary, which is a single vertical bar. And the salt bridge here is 2 vertical bars. So if I was to write this picture in Voltic cell notation, I would write the oxidation half reaction on the left. So I would write zinc solid, single bar, because there's a phase boundary from solid to aqueous. Zinc, I'll just put a line there so we know that's not a 2. Zinc 2 plus aqueous. Next we have the salt bridge, so it's double bar. And then I have copper 2 plus aqueous, single bar, phase boundary, copper solid. So this expression right here represents everything that's in this picture up here. So what's important is that your oxidation reaction is written on the left. That is where the anode is. The reduction reaction is written on the right. That's where the cathode is. You have a single bar of phase boundaries between the half reactions, and then a double bar between the 2 half reactions representing the salt bridge. So this is a picture of an electrochemical cell measuring the volts of the transfer of electrons between these 2 half reactions. And this is how we would represent it in a shorthand called Voltic cell notation.